Hey guys, Joopy here, bringing you another video. Today I'm going to be discussing the next generation consoles, the PS4 and the Xbox One. Now, I'm not going to be as biased, but I'm going to give you facts about each console. And I'm not going to say which one I'm going to pick, but because I don't want this to be biased at all. But I'm just going to give you all the information we know to this date about the next generation consoles. So let me get right into it with what the consoles include. Now, each one isn't that much of a sharp console. Like, it's all what they usually are, like just a big black box that plays your game disc. But now there's a lot more into it, and that I will get into later in the video. Now, each console has a built-in capture card. I will talk to you more about that later in this video. Now, each console this year comes with a headset. Now, that means Sony failed really badly with the PS3 by not including a headset. If you go on Xbox Live on the Xbox 360, everybody has a mic, but that's because Sony didn't give people the option. They had to buy it, which everybody did because that's the only way to do it. Was a big pointer for the Xbox 360. Now, other than that, the Xbox One comes with some Kinect stuff, and other than that, they just both come with a bunch of your plug-in cables and stuff. Now, the consoles this time are just more engineered than ever before. The Xbox One is supposed to be primarily based upon entertainment, like your Netflix, your Hulu, all that stuff. The PS4 is supposed to be a totally new gaming console, even though it does have just about the same entertainment specs as the Xbox One has, which they're pretty much the same in that category, because at the E3 conference, the PS4 made a big deal about how they're a gaming console, but half of their conference was about how all entertainment things. Now, each console has their own games that will be released onto that console. I'm not going to talk about that today, but maybe at some other time I'll upload another video talking strictly about what games are going off on which consoles. Now let's get into the headsets. It has been released by Sony that all PS3 compatible headsets will work on the PlayStation 4. That's a big up, because obviously if you have a $300 Turtle Beach headset or something like that, you probably don't want to buy another one. But that also means that your little Bluetooth mics are still going to work, which is a really big up. Also, the PS3 is coming with an earplug kind of headset right with the console, which is a really big deal. That means a bunch of people are going to be talking on the PS4. Now, the Xbox One are not going to be compatible for Xbox 360 headsets. It is not revealed whether they are going to make it compatible or include an adapter of some sort. That is not revealed, but at this point there's nothing out there saying that the Xbox One is compatible with Xbox 360 headsets, which that is a really big deal. But the Xbox One still comes with the 1 ear full headset deal with the mic, just like the Xbox 360 had, which is still good if you don't want to go out there and buy a good headset. Now let me get into the whole deal with PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live. Xbox Live is going to be literally just about the same thing as Xbox Live is with the Xbox 360. Literally, there's no change. The price is still the same, which it's pretty much the same thing, even though they are going away from the Microsoft Points system. Now you can buy stuff with just plain out money upload through however you want to your virtual wallet, which is, I don't know, some people might consider that a good thing, others a bad. I'm not really sure. I don't use the Xbox 360, but if you use an Xbox 360 and you like the idea of the Microsoft Points, please write that in the comments, because I would love to hear what some Xbox people think about that whole idea. But with the PS4, you will be required to buy the $5 a month for PlayStation Plus to have access to multiplayer on your PS4. That's a pretty big deal, because a lot of people went with the way for the PS3 because it was free for multiplayer. That was a big thing, but what we also noticed was the PS3 multiplayer is not that good. Like, there's a lot of host migrations and stuff like that, which is a really big deal. Like, you don't like that. Xbox Live was much better than that, but hopefully with this PlayStation Plus being required, they must be making like a better online multiplayer, which is a good thing. Also with PlayStation Plus, you get a new game every month. Of course, only like 1 in 3 of those aren't going to be like a cheap little indie game, but you do get some AAA titles, which is pretty cool. Like, I saw somebody saying who had PlayStation Plus, like they got like Assassin's Creed 3 or something like that, which that's a pretty good game. Like, that's an expensive game, and they got it for free on download, which that's pretty cool. Now, let me get into about the built-in capture card that I mentioned near the beginning of the video. Now, in these next generation consoles, Microsoft and Sony have each put in a built-in capture card in both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. Like, that's just absolutely sweet. Like, a bunch of people like me who don't really have the money to buy a real capture card or some really good recording equipment, that's sweet. Like, people are going to be able to just like record their videos and upload it to like YouTube, like max 15-minute gameplays, which that's really sweet. These next generation consoles are really working on like the social end of things, like, you know, including mics, stuff like that, allowing capture cards and stuff. Now, the one difference in this, the PS4 has a 15-minute built-in capture card. That's sweet. That's enough to cover most of an entire game of like team deathmatch or most other things. It's not quite enough to cover an entire match of like zombies, but you could split it up into parts, and I wouldn't imagine somebody making like an entire hour-long, 2-hour-long zombies video. That would just stretch on too much. But having it in parts, like, you're still gonna put it into parts no matter what, if you had a longer capture card or not. Now, the Xbox One only has a 5-minute built-in capture card. That's a big difference. Like, you might think that, like, no, PS4 only has 3 times as much. That's not too big. Like, you can still do some stuff. But in the minds of, like, a gamer or, like, a YouTube guy, the difference between 15 minutes of gameplay and 5 minutes of gameplay is such a big difference. Like, let's say I play a lot of Capture the Flag and Domination. 5 minutes isn't even enough to cover one round. 15 minutes is enough to cover the entire game, pretty much. Like, that's such a huge difference in the minds of anybody, like viewing, making, or even just like somebody who doesn't even do that. You should see that, how big of a difference that is. Now, other than that, some additional specs to the two consoles are that the Xbox One, it has this new cloud system where the makers of games can add in achievements and like contests at any time really easy. So, like, let's say I'm big on Call of Duty. Like, now Treyarch and Activision, let's say there's a big event going on, you know, like, let's just say anyone who gets 100 headshots in multiplayer within the next 12 hours gets this cool new camo, this new tag, this new player card. Like, that's just, it would be really cool to see that happening, because they'll really make a much bigger deal out of, you know, like, doing little mini events and stuff for, like, clans and everything. Other than that, the PS4 has a bunch of, like, good stuff being added. Like, the multiplayer is getting better, and I sure hope Call of Duty doesn't side with the Xbox Live. I would love it if DLCs and stuff came out at the same time, even though I know they have a partnership with Microsoft, but still, like, that's a bit annoying that I can't get it at the same time as most of my friends. But still, like, I think Sony's adding in a much more, like, little things, you know, like slightly improving the multiplayer by stopping these host migrations that we know everybody is annoyed by. Now, the last thing I'm going to get into is the release dates. Now, the PlayStation 4 is being released on November 15th for $499.99. That's pretty cheap considering what you're getting. If I remember, like 3-4 years ago, the PS3 came out for $700. That's a big difference considering how much more you're getting with a PS4. Now, this is just my opinion on the matter, even though it's probably the truth. Microsoft has not named a release date for the Xbox One yet. That's a big thing. That means that they're probably rushing to finish this. Like, if you don't know when you're going to have your product out, that really means, like, you don't know if you're going to have it ready by your release date. That's a really, really big thing. So I'm just saying, like, I bet the Xbox One has been a rush product. Like, we know that there's been 3 years into the making of the PS4. I don't know even how long they've been working on this Xbox One. Like, for all I know, they've only been working on it for a year, because they're obviously seeing really rushed. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and comment on your personal opinions in below.